How's about now? So I've just been doing a little bit of kind of tweaking in OBS. Like, I must admit, this is the first time I've been streaming for a very, very long time, possibly too long. But excellent. Thank you, John, for letting me know that you can hear me. And hello, everybody in the chat. Hello, Donald Kelly. Hi, Ram. Hi, Dad. Hi, Dave. Hey, Jonas. And hello, lton Carrie, which I think means Uncle Carrie? Is it to you? I don't know, I'm talking out my arse. Hello everybody and welcome to the pre-Kickstarter Hangout. Now, as you can see here, I'm just kind of playing some pictures from the projects just in the background on a loop. Like I figured out how to do that about 5 minutes ago, which was excellent. But how is everyone doing? We've got, how many people? We've got 9 people viewing. Hello, everybody. Don't forget to drop a hello in the chat. Oh, well, this has indeed been a very busy few days for me. But everything is looking great on the Kickstarter. Oh, got some more folks in the chat. Hi Patrick, hi Wayne, good to see you again. Good evening, James. Oof, bloomin' heck. Well, thank you so much for all of you folks who've arrived super early. I mean, as it not early, but you know, hope you are all doing well. Oh, so basically for the past few days I've been taking photographs of everything, making sure all the paint jobs are done, working on concept art, doing all the graphics and things like that. And I know I do this to myself every single time, but I always underestimate how much kind of other stuff there is to do for running a Kickstarter and preparing a Kickstarter other than just making models. Like, literally for the past 2 days, I've been pretty much just glued to my laptop doing Photoshop. Which, you know, isn't the worst thing in the world. Like, I've just been sat down in my living room, chilling with the cat. Although she does tend to have a habit of jumping onto my lap when I'm trying to do... Literally, it's like when I'm trying to do anything on the laptop, she's just like... Oh, what's going on here? And no doubt for you folks who have been to one of my live streams before, you will probably hear her at some point. She has been quite quiet today, I will give her her dues, but she's kind of a little bit of a, definitely a character. Oh. You should put her in the game. Like, it's funny you should say that. I did actually have an idea for a possible faction in the future of like Egyptian style cat people. You know, like I think the god's called Bast or Basti or something like that. Because then, like, weirdly, like, I'm not very good at drawing cats. I should be better now that I own one, and I have done for the past 2 years, but, like, I can draw dogs fine. I've never had a problem with being able to draw dogs, but for some reason I just can't grasp, like, I just can't get the cats right. And I obviously do need a little bit of practice, but yeah, as I said, like, I think if I do decide to do the cats riding mummies as cavalry, well, my cat does have a tendency to jump on you and on, like, climb up your leg and things, so technically she has already ridden a mummy as cavalry and also ridden a daddy as cavalry, so I think that would be very apt. But then I can't decide whether or not to do them as, like, undead, because I feel like that's, you know, been done to death. Like, but I'm sure I could put an interesting spin on it. So what's everyone up to tonight? Like, happy Father's Day as well to all you dads out there. Like in the UK, it is Father's Day. So hopefully you've had a nice day of being spoiled by your loved ones. Goblin got me a card. Absolutely, she did get me a card. There was a card with Daddy written on it waiting for me when I came downstairs. So it must have been her that got it right. Oh, whilst we're here, and I have a very understanding audience. Oh, Jonas, crikey, came to a non-live version and couldn't write. How strange is that? I wonder how that happened. Hello, everyone. Hi, Jonas. Glad to have you back in the land of the living. So let's just try this. Cool. So could everyone see my hands? Can everyone see this model here? Ooh, come on. The autofocus on my camera isn't the best in the world, but if I do this, camera control. Haha! There we go, that's better, isn't it? Now, there is a benefit to having like a set focal point, obviously, but it does mean that if I take the model anywhere else other than this exact position, whoop, no, it doesn't follow me, but should be pretty good to show off some of the models that you folks are going to be getting in this Kickstarter. There we go. Let's try another one. Let's try with the metal version of the wizard that I've just popped like a grey wash on to kind of bring out the details. Oak and Bronze, hello, good to see you. They say, return to ArcWorlde is an excellent thing for a rain-filled Sunday evening, or any other evening come to that. I'm very happy you think so. Alright, let's try the Hobgoblin. There we go. Music is gone again. Oh no. Okay. Let's play about with that. Oh, bugger, right. I did have it on like a loop, but it obviously didn't work. Actually, I'm just going to take it to Old Faithful. So those of you who have been on my streams before will probably recognise this this playlist, but just let me know in the comments or the live chat or whatever you want to call it if that's working. Let's keep on testing these. Ooh, there we go. Little fishy dude. This is actually haha, it works. Excellent. Now this is normally the point where my dad will message me saying, Alex, that music's too loud. Alex, we can't hear what you're saying. So I'd like to kind of hear a few more different opinions from the folks watching. So do let me know if I need to turn it up, turn it down, or whatever like that. But if not, I shall continue assuming that it's all brilliant and I am a master manipulator of OBS, and we can carry on with the evening. Oh, here's another one of the underlings. Music is just right. Belting. So I'm not sure if you folks are able to see from the pictures of the renders and of the casts, but he's actually lifting his head off his shoulders like that. Oh, Ram, all good man. Your audio and music are at a good level. Excellent, excellent. Don't you just love it when a plan comes together? So here's another sprite. So you'll be able to read about these guys in the Wizards faction rules, but they are basically magical creatures that are summoned by the Wizards to do their bidding for them. They can take any form that the wizard likes. Normally they're kind of based on their just whatever they can come up with at the time, like their imaginations. When I was designing these, I kind of took a lot of inspiration from like the doodles in the like the corners of medieval books that the monks would kind of sketch to kind of keep themselves entertained. Hieronymus Bosch obviously was a big inspiration as well, and then also like Fantasia and Sword in the Stone from Disney. You know how the objects come to life and kind of go about doing the jobs and things. So there are going to be a lot more designed and sculpted than the 4 that you get in the starter set, but you should see more about those when the project goes live. Ho ho ho. Ram says, the guy lifting off his head is very labyrinth. Well, it's funny you should say that, because that's kind of where I got the inspiration for that particular pose. Now here's another one of the underlings. So once again, you can read about these guys in the Dark Lords faction rules, but they are, so the Dark Lords, they are kind of ephemeral creatures of like magic and fire, and they create these underlings by siphoning off an aspect, a part of themselves, and bringing it to life. But these underlings are kind of devoid of all of the malice and bitterness and cruelty that the Dark Lords have, and actually are just cheeky little boys, and they kind of run around and have a great time, you know. But that really annoys the Dark Lords, so they do enjoy picking on them, unfortunately. But they're very happy-go-lucky creatures. So and obviously I recognise a lot of the names in the chat, but do we have anyone new tonight? If you are new, please don't be afraid to just pop a hello in the chat, and I'd love to hear a little bit more about you and how you found the stream. John Shaw, will there be the classic giant's foot creatures from medieval history of Africa? That would be great. Ooh, I'm not too sure. I mean, I think I know what you're talking about, because I remember reading about the guys that had their face in their torsos. I can't remember what they're called, but I do have my parents bought me a reference book for Christmas that took a load of kind of creature sketches from medieval manuscripts and things, and I'll definitely be having I'll be reading through that, and particularly with the ensorcelled beast, which is the heavy for the wizards. I took a lot of inspiration from that, actually. I'll show you him now. So, as you can see, he's like a summoned creature, you know, of the same magical stuff as the sprites, but because he's a lot more powerful, he has to be bound to a magical item like a book or a talisman of some kind. But I've tried to sculpt him kind of leaping out of a book there. I can show you that. So another cool thing about these guys is that because they are such kind of powerful creatures of magic, you can feed them the sprites. So in battle, if they run out of HP, you can just go there and just go 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 go, and then he's healed a certain amount of HP. But because sprites are, they essentially get certain powers from the lore that they're cast from. So something else that you'll be able to find in the wizard's rules is that when you make your warband, you choose what particular college they're from. There are 6 colleges, each of them have like a different theme and actually a different spell list. So you can, you know, so they're a lot more themed. Like there's the Crimson College, which is fire magic. There's the Sapphire College, which is water magic. There's the Emerald College, which is like life druid magic. There's the Ochre College, which is like earth magic. There's the Bronze College, which is like alchemy. And there is the Opal College, which is all spooky spirits. And you choose which faction, which lore you want to be before you start the game. And depending on, you know, how you want to paint your models, you can give them different colour schemes to fit. But the ensorcelled beast gains the powers of the lore that the sprite was from that he gobbles up. So even though you are one particular lore, say you're a fire wizard warband, you can cast spells from the other lores by using items called pilfered tomes, and they are essentially kind of in game. They are books that have been stolen from wizards of the other colleges, because there's quite a bit of rivalry between them. So if you are a fire mage, if you have a pilfered tome item, you can use it to cast a spell from a water mage lore. So depending on how you build your warband, how many of those pilfered tomes you get access to, you can have access to 24 spells, which is way more than any of the other factions for ArcWorlde. Like normally the spell list is 4, some are 5, but the wizards have access to 24 spells. So if you do enjoy using magic in the game, like, they are definitely the ones for you. So the actual ones that I painted up for, you know, the stock images, like I specifically gave them a neutral colour scheme, so this kind of purple and white attire doesn't kind of represent any of the colleges. I did want them to be neutral, but you can. I mean, I actually have some examples on the campaign page where you can sample colour schemes that you can use to represent the colleges. But one of the great things is about at least the naming. Well, the great thing about the unoriginality of the namings is that it's pretty obvious what kind of colours will represent each of the colleges. So if you're a Crimson Mage, you're going to have reds and oranges and golds. If you're a Sapphire Mage, Water Mage, you'll have blues and greens. If you're an Emerald Mage, you'll have, muddier greens, and, so it's pretty self-explanatory. But as I said, I wanted to keep the kind of the stock images for the faction neutral, so it's up to you folks how you paint them up, even if you want to kind of stick to a certain colour scheme. But have you guys had any thoughts about how you're going to be painting your wizards? Because I know there's some very good painters in the comments who are watching the stream, so please do speak up if you have any ideas about how you're going to paint your minis when they arrive. Ooh. Jonas, I want to paint up one as fire and use it with my Dark Lords using the Allies rules. Absolutely. So, funnily enough, even though this project is kind of angled as a versus between the Wizards and the Dark Lords, you know what they say, often the ones that are the most similar have the biggest rivalries, and that is because both the Dark Lords and the Wizards, and of course the Wild Elves, which are a previous faction for those guys who don't know as much about ArcWorlde, but those three, because they are magical based factions, they can take models from each other's army lists. So you can make a kind of a composite warband made up of wizards and dark lords and wild elves. Obviously you'd have to come up with some lore reasons why those particular factions would be working together. Maybe you have an evil wizard who is teaming up with a dark lord, or maybe you have like a wild elf tribe that has made a pact with a wizard adventuring party and are working together for a particular cause. But in ArcWorlde, there are certain factions that can interchange models with other factions. So there's the magic-based ones, or the Fey kingdoms. So that's Dark Elves, Wizards, and Wild Elves. You've got the civilized lands, which are the Imperials, the Halflings, and the Norsefold. So you can use all of those together. There's the Nomad factions. So that is the Orcs, the Gremlins, and the Beast Folk. And you've got the Undead, who are the Undead Raiders, the Ancient Dead, and the Vampires. Now, some of those are new, some of those are old factions that haven't been updated yet, but I am working through all of the factions, and fingers crossed we'll be able to have new models and new rules for all of those in time. Let's see what everyone's saying in the chat. Helios Faust goes 24 spells. Yeah, I think I've done my maths right. 24, 4 times 6. Yeah, that is 24. Helios Faust is planning on doing a natural colour selection to keep them versatile. Donald Kelly, I think a neutral grey with the striped pants alternating between grey and a colour from the rainbow. Sort of a charismatic scheme. That sounds great. Jacko, good evening. Good to see you, buddy. Jonas, steampunk alchemy would be a super cool theme for a converted wizard warband. They could have little mech sprites and stuff. Helios, could I do a Hellbat with a beast folk rider? At the moment, there isn't, like... So basically there is a rule in ArcWorlde that if you have a particular cool idea that doesn't have any rules for it, say if you do want to kind of mix up completely different warbands and things, then as long as your opponent is chill with it, then you are more than happy to do so. So you would use a character, beastfolk character with the monster rider, what did I call them? Animal form, I think they're called. So he would be like a monster rider, and then you would just buy, using a points value, a Hellbat from the Dark Lord's faction list, and then bring it over. So as long as your opponent was chill with it, you could absolutely do that. So Jonas, what Jonas was saying about converted wizards warband and little mech sprites. Now that is something that perhaps I would quite enjoy as a kind of a creative thing to do. Just so, because obviously at the moment, like, if you want to particularly represent a certain lore with your faction, then you would paint it in a certain colour. But I have so many ideas for lore-specific wizards and lore-specific sprites. Like, if I was to do like the Crimson College sprites, there'd be like dragons and boiling kettles and candles and things. If it was the Sapphire one, like more aquatic themed sprites. If you know, and it goes on and on and on. You can kind of imagine what kind of characters I would do, as well as, you know, different styles of dress for the wizards. Like, one of the things about the College of Mount Orion is that it is, you know, people travel there and study there from all over ArcWorlde. So in terms of actual visual styles, I could do anything, you know. Things that people have brought from their cultures, and they integrate that into their like wizardly robes and things. Like, it's really is like, it's a really, really exciting new faction that I'm really, really enjoyed working on, and hopefully you folks will enjoy it just as much as I've enjoyed sculpting the models, painting the models, and writing the rules as well. So, whilst we're on the subject of wizards, I'll show you some more of the starter warband. So this chap is an apprentice. So the apprentices are I wouldn't go so far as to say foot soldiers for the wizards, because they're not foot soldiers as such. They are essentially the assistants of the wizard who help them on their kind of journeys throughout ArcWorlde. Like, they carry their stuff, they, you know, help them with their research, but in terms of the game itself, they have a certain amount of magical ability themselves. They don't have access, they can't cast as many spells as well as the wizard, but they do have access to a few spells that they can cast. And in addition, they can also channel their magic into the wizard themselves. So they are great buffer characters, because really when playing with your wizard's warbands, you want to be getting most of the fighting done by your summoned creatures, because they are, you know, they are not, I guess the word to use is disposable. You know, you can summon them, send them into battle, they get knocked out, but then you can summon them back again, and, you know, and the apprentices are much better off kind of staying behind, using their own magic, and supporting the wizard with his. Jonas says you could. Oh, and the digital elementals could be good proxies for both sprites and ensorcel beasts of different lores. The Myrmidons even could be proxies for an unrevealed unit. That is very, very true, but Jonas knows secrets yet. So here's another one of the sprites. Just a little running hand. So as I said, all of these are just kind of little doodles and little creatures that the wizards could just come up with on the spot. And then here's the final sprite from the starter warband, because you can't have a magic based faction without a toad or frog of some kind. There we go. And that's all of it for now. So if you folks have any more questions about the Wizards faction before I move on to showing you the Dark Lords. The utterly broken leapfrogger. So Jonas was telling me when I showed him the sculpt that apparently there is a card in some kind of card game. I think it's Hearthstone or Magic or something like that, that is basically just a little frog guy, and apparently it has a reputation for being absolutely broken. Ram, will there be flying carpet in this Kickstarter? So I have pretty much planned all of the models for the campaign, so that's, because obviously when coming up with something like this, you do need to plan things to an extent that you can achieve everything that you've promised, because obviously if I want to send you guys the stuff on time, then I do need to kind of take into account the amount of time that I have to sculpt everything, that my dad and my metal caster John has to cast everything and to ship everything to you folks. So at the moment there isn't any plans for flying carpets, but they are in the lore and they are in the rules. So these are not going to be all of the models for the Wizards. As a big tradition for ArcWorlde Kickstarters is that I do models for previous factions as well as models for the upcoming factions. So in this Kickstarter we'll be having models for the Imperials, the Halflings, the Wild Elves, the Beast Folk, the Orcs and the Undead Raiders as well. And I can absolutely guarantee that at some point in the future there is going to be a magic carpet sculpted for the Wizards to use. Alright. Another question from Patrick. Are the Wizards made up entirely of humans, or is there a chance for other races to make an appearance in the future? Very, very good question. No, the Wizards aren't just humans. As I said, there are peoples from all over ArcWorlde who come to the Grand College of Mount Orion, so we will actually be seeing a mixture of different races as part of that faction. Now obviously, I couldn't do a mixed race faction like that without doing halflings, so there will be some halfling characters for the Wizards. Obviously at the moment, ArcWorlde is there's a lot of ArcWorlde that I have yet to kind of solidify in terms of miniatures and lore, so there is scope to have, so many different characters for the faction, but there'd be characters that would make sense to be part of it. So you wouldn't have a wild elf as a wizard, for example, because they wouldn't be taken in as an apprentice. So so the whole thing with the wizards is that they scout out people that have magical abilities, and they kind of take them away when they're young, and they train them up. Jacko, is the way magic works the same for wizards, or has it changed? Nope. In terms of the mechanics of casting magic for ArcWorlde, it is exactly the same. So you use a card deck, whether that's just a normal pack of playing cards or one of the pack of the ArcWorlde playing cards, and it kind of works in a very similar way to 21 or Blackjack, where each spell has a set amount. So it starts off with like the less powerful spells, and then the most powerful spells you have to get 21. And if you draw over 21, you overcast, and there are certain negative effects that happen to the character that does the casting. So it's more of a kind of a gamble of how many cards do you draw to cast a spell, and each card costs a certain amount of AP. So in ArcWorlde, every character has AP or action points, and they use those action points to spend on the things that they do in the game. So if you want to, a regular kind of troop type character would have 2 AP, but the characters have possibly 3 or 4 or 5 AP, depending on the type of character. To cast a spell is a flat 2 AP cost, and that lets you draw 2 cards. If you do want to draw another card, if you haven't got quite enough and you want to take a gamble to get to the allocated amount, you can spend another AP to draw another card. Or if you have an Arcanite token, which an Arcanite token is kind of like a magical MacGuffin crystal in ArcWorlde that essentially is you can spend to give yourself certain things, abilities, buffs in the game. So yeah, it works exactly the same for the wizards as it does for every other faction. Right, speaking of other factions, let's have a look at the big man himself, the Dark Lord. Now, I had lots of fun sculpting this guy, and some of you will have a Dark Lord in your collection from 1st edition, but this guy is a lot more imposing than the old model. So he is a big boy, a very big boy. Like if I put him next to a human-sized model, you can see he is a very imposing character. And he's actually on a 50mm base in 2nd edition, so he is particularly imposing. So in the starter set you get him, and he on his own is almost a playable warband. He costs 210 gold, and as your average game, kind of starter game of ArcWorlde is about 350 for very small games, like games enough for your starter sets. He is an absolute beast. And then here is Hobgoblin. So the Hobgoblins are essentially like the slaves / minions of the Dark Lords. They are not particularly good, but in numbers they can so they're kind of taller and ganglier than like your boglins, and they're very much smaller than orcs, but they are like the foot soldiers of the Dark Lords. And you get one in the starter set, just because there are, you know, the Dark Lord himself takes up so many points. But over the course of the campaign, there will be more of these guys released, so you can make yourself your own horde. So Ram is asking, are there going to be multiple Dark Lord sculpts for the different types? Now, this is something I'm very up for doing. You know, I love sculpting Dark Lords, and I particularly enjoyed making the one. So there are two options I could go in here. So I think because it would be fun to do different models, I think I'd be more likely to sculpt completely different miniatures for each of the types. So when you are constructing your Dark Lord warband, you choose essentially what type of Dark Lord he's going to be. You know, like there's an option. There are 3 or 4 types. I think 4 types. Actually, I'm going to check. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a screen share and get up the rules for the Dark Lords so we can have a little look. Display capture. Window capture, that's what I was looking for. There we go. So, if you can see on the screen, each Dark Lord has a unique combination of sessions, grudges, and fever goals that make up their twisted personality. Before the game, choose the character traits your Dark Lord embodies. So you have Fell Warrior. This Dark Lord is infamous for their skill in martial combat and seek nothing more than to defeat their enemies. Oh, there's a spelling mistake there. I'll have to change that. The defeat of their enemies by the might of their sword. The Dark Lord gains 1 AP for each character they knock out. This resets at the start of each round. So basically it's kind of like you get more and more powerful the more people you knock out. Dark Warlock. This Dark Lord has dedicated their existence to the study of magic and craves nothing more than the increase of their arcane power. The Dark Lord gains the Mage trait and may cast spells from the Law of Villainy. So the Dark Lord has its own law, but only the Dark Warlock can cast them. Master of the Horde. This Dark Lord has amassed a great army and takes great pleasure in seeing them destroy all who stand in their way. All Hobgoblin characters cost minus 20 GP, rounded up to the nearest whole number, so this is how you can just absolutely pack out your warband with loads and loads of Hobgoblins, if you prefer to have that kind of horde warband. And then Beastmaster. This Dark Lord has many pacts with the monsters of ArcWorlde who march by their side into battle. All beasts, monsters and titans taken from the bestiary cost minus 20 GP, rounded up to the nearest whole number. So if you're like, you know, you could have an army of trolls or an army of arcanids or dragons or something like that, and be that kind of baddie character, then that's the option for you. So Rithram asking, will I do sculpts for each of those? I mean, I'd love to, depending on obviously, you know, the feedback from the community. I always do like to hear from you guys, and let me know what you would want me to spend my time working on. So if you would prefer a custom model for each of these, then I would happily make them. But if you'd prefer me to work on other models for the warband, then just let me know in time and I'll work on what you folks want. So Jacko saying, could be interesting to set up a scenario where you start off with the Dark Lord from Troubles in the North, then he achieves an objective and powers up into that monster. Yeah, that would be cool. Wayne Burton, it's all about the Hobgoblins. So hopefully you'll be enjoying all those Hobgoblins that I'll be making over the next few months. Oop, 10 minutes to go until the launch. So, in terms of the stream, I will have to go off for a little bit, just to share the links about and stuff like that, just to make sure that everyone has access to the links. There will definitely be some frantic sharing at 8 o'clock. Just bear with me, folks. There we go. So Helios Faust, okay, knowing all this, I have to buy both factions. That's good news. Jonas, good luck, mate. I'm sure it'll go well. The models are awesome. Thank you very much. So, speaking of models, here is another character for the Dark Lords. Now, I know that a lot of you folks have been looking forward to this guy, the Hellbeast. So, he's actually so big, I can't quite fit him on the screen. It's particularly not in focus, but he is a big, flappy, bat-like creature. That is the monster-heavy unit type for the Dark Lords. Now he is also massive. Oops. So as you can see there, is very, very big. But this lad was very fun to make. So, in terms of the rules, he can fly up and pick up characters and drop them. Oh, hi Nick, good to see you, buddy. Just stopping in for a sec to say hi to you all. It's almost 3 PM here, so I'm doing Father's Day things. I thought Father's Day was a different day in the US. So LTO, sorry for my English, this miniature's only metal or resin, so All of the models that you're seeing are in resin, and most of them are in metal. Like some of the bigger ones, like this guy here, and the Ensorcelled Beast and others, will be resin only. But all of the smaller miniatures, such as, you know, the Hobgoblins and the Wizards and everything like that, even the Dark Lord will be in metal as well. So, but there will be options depending on which ones that you would want. But yeah, he is on a 60mm base. Then the Hobgoblin is here. So if you wanted to, so one of the things that the guy, the Hellbeast, can do is essentially pick up a Hobgoblin and carry him around, and the Hobgoblin can then kind of fight from the claws of the Hellbeast. So I would quite like to sculpt a model of that as well, but in the meantime I think you just pop the Hobgoblin on the Hellbeast's base and move him around. So that's all of the painted models that will be kind of shown on the campaign. Now, do you guys have any questions about the Dark Lord's faction, or kind of how they play, or what's coming up for them? We have only 5 minutes to go until the launch of the campaign. I can't believe it. I can't believe we've been talking for like almost an hour already. Time really does fly. But I might... hang on, I'll have to get everything ready for the launch. It's one of those things, you know, when you've been working on something for so long and it's about to go out, or you're about to hand in a piece of coursework for studying or something, and you're just like, oh god, I must have missed something, I've got to double check it, got to double check it, got to double check it. That's kind of that's how I feel at the moment. Like, I just feel like I've missed something. But I'm sure you folks will let me know if there's anything that I need to quickly change. Question from Donald: would this be a good set of factions to start playing with, or are they a bit advanced? I have loads of your digital work but haven't got into ArcWorlde yet. So I would say that because ArcWorlde is quite a simple game. Like, it isn't a complicated game at all. Like, it has a very thin rule book. And I would say that the Dark Lords and the Wizards are the more I'd say particularly the Wizards are a particularly specialist faction. There are factions that are a lot more generalist, like I would say the Halflings, for example, are probably your best all-rounders. But I think anybody who, you know, anybody will be able to play these two straight off the bat, definitely. Wayne Burton: I think I want a Hobgoblin with a Dark Lord helmet riding this beast. Absolutely, that would be super, super cool. Although, how would the Hobgoblin get the helmet off the Dark Lord? That's what I would like to know. Ooh. 3 minutes to go. Oof. So Ian Creasy, do we have to wait for the Kickstarter link before we can be ready on the pledge page? No. So the link that I've been posting and sharing over the past few days is the link to the campaign. So it's not a different link. So if you do just want to click on one of the pages, one of the links that I've shared on the Facebook group already, it will work just as well. Oak and Bronze, taking the helmet away to polish it, tripped over a rock, accidentally fell onto the beast, which then made a getaway carrying said Hobgoblin. Simple. Oh, absolutely, I'm sure that the Dark Lord would 100% believe that story entirely. And he absolutely wouldn't boil the Hobgoblin alive for his insolence. Ooh, less than a minute to go. Jonas says I could talk a little bit about the monologuing, but let's get the launch out the way first. And boom. And we are live. Now to post all of the links. Send. Oh, hi Goblin. Hello. I know, what's this? Hello, Goblin. I know you want to be on the camera. So for those of you... Oh, not this one. Actually, this one. There we go. Now there's a lot of stuff to see here, lots of new things that I haven't revealed yet, but I'll give you all a little bit of time, and then I'll go through the campaign page and show you exactly what we've got. $18 backers already. Oh, 17 backers. No, 18 backers. Donald Kelly pledging cheers and good luck. Thank you very much, buddy. Yay! And we've hit the target already, and it's been 4 minutes. Thank you so much, folks. Let's see what if any of the early birds have gone. I think all the early birds might still be. There might be still some left. 3 left of 5. 4 left of 5. 5 left of 5. Cool. Wow, 27 already. Well, 2,700. Crazy. So now the initial launch has been done, let's have a look at the campaign page. So we start off with a picture of the two new factions clashing, the Wizards and the Dark Lords. ArcWorlde Wizards vs Dark Lords introduces 2 brand new factions to collect, paint and play for the narrative fantasy battle game from Warp Miniatures. And here is a kind of a breakdown of the what's going to happen for the rest of this week. So this is a 5-day campaign. It's a little bit different to other campaigns that we've done in the past, but I'm trying something a little bit new this time. And every night until the end of the campaign, I'll be doing a live stream just like this. So today we've got like the launch party, and speaking of party, I think I might go pour myself a nice G&T to celebrate. Tomorrow I'll be doing a digital sculpting stream, so I'll show you folks kind of from start to finish how I digitally sculpt a miniature for ArcWorlde. I'll be doing a poll on Facebook during the day tomorrow to see which kind of the concepts that I've revealed you guys would like to watch me make. Tuesday is ArcWorlde Game Night, so I will be collaborating with some ArcWorlde players to live stream you a tabletop game between the Wizards and the Dark Lords, so those of you who haven't played the game before or don't know it very well can see firsthand how the game works. On Wednesday there'll be a traditional sculpting stream where I will be working on our big Titan model for this campaign, the Tarask. More information on him later. And then Thursday, the Kickstarter closing party, where we'll be kind of counting down the project together, give you guys a final option to kind of ask me any questions or put together anything. I will be putting out a a message at some point over the next 5 days to kind of have questions and things or topics to talk about. So going further down, there are links to the ArcWorlde Facebook group, which is kind of the hub of everything to do with ArcWorlde. That's been going for a good few years now and is a really supportive community. So if you are interested in ArcWorlde or interested in learning more about ArcWorlde, please do join. Then a newer version is the Discord. So I have quite an active Discord server for those of you who have Discord, and this is for all of Warp miniatures. So it's got ArcWorlde and Digital Workshop, which is my 3D printable range. So what is ArcWorlde? ArcWorlde is a narrative battle game set in a whimsical fantasy world where you play exciting, story-driven scenarios on the tabletop. Players use their wits, tactical skill, and outside-of-the-box creative thinking to play fun and memorable clashes between heroes, warbands, and monsters in a game that is quick, engaging, and easy to learn with beautiful resin and metal miniatures. So if you click here, that will take you to the ArcWorlde rules download pages. So you've got the core rules there, Command rules, then rules for all different factions, the Halflings, the Imperials, the Wild Elves. The Wizards are already on there, so if you want to check those out, you can. The Orcs, the Dark Lords again are already on there. The Beast Folk, the Undead Raiders, the Bestiary, which is the kind of the selection of monsters, and the Swords for Hire. We've also got a print and play starter set for you folks at home to try out. These are paper, print them on paper, and using paper standees you can try out the game with two kind of starter warbands, the Wild Elves and the Halflings, as well as a Troll. Back to the Kickstarter page. So all the models for the campaign are in resin or metal. So here's an example of one of the beautiful resin casts that my dad Rob has done. So Rob is Warp's caster, resin caster. He is in charge of making sure that all of the models, at least the resin ones that you folks get sent, are as beautiful as possible, and they are amazing. Like, for long-time Warp customers, you folks know exactly how good my dad's casting is, and he gets better and better as the years go on. Some would say it's because I give him awfully difficult models to cast, so he has to become better and better. But as I say this to him every time, you know, you have to heat up metal before it is turned into a sword. So he is as good as he is because I have tempered him. And as well, our metal casts are also hand cast by a local craftsman. His name is John, and he's based also in England, and he's been doing our metal models for the past 6 years or so, and once again he is wonderful. Like you can see here, like two of the metal casts, one of them is the kind of the bare metal, which doesn't really photograph that well, so I gave it a kind of a dark grey wash just to kind of accentuate the details. So before we go on to the miniatures, let me just check the chat. Richard Smith, evening Alex. Are there no STLs available for these lovely sculpts? They're very cool, by the way, thank you very much. Unfortunately, there will be no STLs available for this project. ArcWorlde is not a 3D printable range. I do, you know, my 3D printable range, Digital Workshop, is where I do all my 3D printable stuff, and ArcWorlde is where I have my models made in resin and metal. Oaken Bronze, a Swamp Critter pack, huzzah! Helios Faust, Jonas, congratulations. LTO, go. Pickle Jar, good to see you, bud. Congrats on the funding. Grab the resin starter warband. Thank you very much. So on to the miniatures. So the wizards. In the depths of the Mildark sits the immense spire of Mount Orion. Carved into its alabaster peaks is the great College of Mount Orion, where the wizards of Upper ArcWorlde unravel the secrets of magic. Beholden to none but their own, the wizards venture into ArcWorlde to seek ways to increase their knowledge and learn more about their chosen fields. Accompanied by their magical servants and warriors, they search far and wide for artifacts and magical tomes to further their magical prowess. So here's a kind of an in situ shot of the starter warband, and here is what you get in that starter warband. So you get a wizard, who's the commander, leader of the warband, 2 apprentices, and 4 sprites. And there's also a 360 shot there, but I don't need to play that because I've already shown you. But if you do want to kind of see a 360 view of those models, just click on the link in the campaign page. So now we are on to the additional models that you can add on to your pledge, or if you pledge for the faction sets, these will all be included. The Ensorcelled Beast. Particularly powerful wizards may bind creatures and magic to items, books, and magical charms. If the correct incantation is performed, these Ensorcelled Beasts roar into life under the command of the caster. Taking the forms of majestic and formidable beasts, these majestic creatures need huge amounts of magic to sustain themselves. Outside of the thrumming magical fields of the colleges of Mount Orion, wizards oftentimes resort to feeding them their own magical creations in order to satiate the ensorcelled beast's bestial hunger. And once again, there is a 360 video shot of that. Now the charm bookcase. Now this is where I will be using some concept art to show off some of the models that I will be sculpting for the range. All of these drawings have been done by hand. I've been really getting back into my hand drawing again, which has been a really fun process. But he is a particularly interesting character. A wizard collects many scrolls, tomes and other magical literature over the course of their travels. These are often contained within an enchanted bookcase, which keeps them safe and stores them for when they are needed. These bookcases have a life of their own and fuss over their collection like a protective mother hen. When in battle, the charmed bookcases select the most powerful of spell books to tentatively give to their masters, though in the heat of battle it could be a random bet which ones they receive. So, for those of you who were around when I was talking about how the wizards work, this essentially generates a pilfered tome, which allows you to cast spells from the other laws of the wizards, and it's a random one per turn. So it will really allow you to explore the spell list, those 24 spells, and it can really be interesting, kind of see which spells you can have access to. So, Sentinels. A common sight in the corridors of the Grand College, these enchanted suits of armour silently stand guard, ready to leap into action at the merest hint of danger. Many wandering wizards borrow these automatons to keep them safe on their adventures, or else construct them themselves from materials they find in the field. If damaged or destroyed, sentinels often put themselves back together again in no time. So I kind of took the very classic image of the enchanted suit of armour for these guys. They're essentially like the bodyguards of the wizards in a faction that doesn't particularly have that much melee stuff. These are going to be really useful in your games. They're absolutely tanky, and it's something that's quite interesting. So if they're ever knocked out, they actually leave a suit of armour behind that either you or even your enemy can grab and put on. So, but they are absolute beasts. Apprentices. There are those in ArcWorlde who are born with natural aptitude for magic. These children are often discovered quickly and are taken from their parents to Mount Orion to study to become wizards. It takes a long time to train and is common for apprentices to join older wizards on their expeditions into ArcWorlde. Oftentimes way out of their depth on the field of battle, apprentices learn quickly and use their burgeoning magical powers to protect themselves and the wizards they serve. However, they aren't full spellcasters yet and have a lot to learn before they may call themselves wizards. So you have 2 apprentices in your starter set already, but I will be sculpting 3 brand new miniatures for the apprentices so you can have more of them in your warband. And as well as all of those models, we've got some shiny faction dice. As with all the factions in ArcWorlde, they all have their own custom dice. Here's other ones, the wizards, and I've gone for like a purple colour for the 6, which is the hat, and like a bony, pearly, creamy colour for the actual dice itself. Now, all of that is the faction set. So if you join at the faction set or double faction pledge, you will get all of those. If you've just got the faction set, you can choose all of the wizards or all of the dark lords, and the double faction set you get both. And if you click on this link here, it'll take you to the downloads where you can read the rules. So before I go on to the dark lords, I'll just check the chat, see if everyone's doing well. Pirate Queen Pickle loving the cat. Donald Kelly, is there any way to combine a shop order and the Kickstarter once things are in production? I know shipping to US is a bit rough, so doing it in one go is appealing. Absolutely, and this is something that we do quite a lot when it comes to our Kickstarters. I'll be putting out more information later on in the campaign, and I'll give you an option to add stuff from the web store to your pledge as well. Gavidra7, congratulations, thank you very much. Jonas Plas, the Sentinels in particular are very cool, thank you. Currently have the early bird double resin faction pledge, considering they give me everything in resin free postage, but in the description it says metal typo. Yes, I think that is a typo. If it's double resin, then it will be a typo, and I'll change that shortly. So onto the Dark Lords. In the vast blasted wastes to the east of the Yerns Peak Mountains dwell the Dark Lords, beings of pure spite and devilment. They hunger for the treasures of Upper ArcWorlde. Although kept at bay for many years by the mountains and the people who guard them in the Valhamian states, recent events have given the Dark Lords the golden opportunity they needed to break through into the continent. Accompanied by the hordes of hobgoblins that carry out their every whim, the Dark Lords delight in laying waste to all in their path. Fortunately for the people of ArcWorlde, the Dark Lords are just as likely to focus upon waging war amongst themselves, as jealousy and envy burn within them just as fiercely as their insatiable lust for power. And there's a picture of the Dark Lord starter warband in situ. And here is what you get in your pledge. So you get the Dark Lord himself, who is an absolutely ginormous model for your starter warband. You get a Hobgoblin Spearman and 3 underlings. And once again, there's a 360 shot of the starter warband. Then there's the Hellbeast. There are many horrible things flapping around the blasted wastes. One must only look to the skies to see a plethora of hungry winged monstrosities swooping around looking for the next meal. Some of these creatures grow to monstrous sizes, and the denizens of the blasted wastes must be wary lest they are carried aloft by grasping talons. The Dark Lords often bind the largest of these to their immeasurable will, sending them into battle as beasts of war. Sometimes their talons are put to a different use, and many a brave hobgoblin is borne into the air to fire down from above. And as before, there is a 360 shot of the Hellbeast, and you'll get a much better look at him than on the webcam because I couldn't really get the focus right. So go and check that out on the campaign page. Hobgoblin Honchos. It's a full-time job keeping a horde of raucous, undisciplined hobgoblins in any semblance of order, one that most Dark Lords see as beneath them. As such, the largest and meanest of the rabble are promoted to honchos, whose role it is to keep the hobgoblins in line. Armed with cruel whips, the honchos encourage their fellow hobgoblins into battle, making sure their paltry courage doesn't falter when the swords are drawn. and if their charges are too cowardly for even a good lashing to make them fight, the honchos will be more than happily use those whips upon the enemy. So these are just big, chunky hobgoblins. They'll be a lot burlier than your bog standard troops. These are like the elites for the Dark Lords faction. There'll be 2 sculpts for this guy, for these guys. There'll be one that will look very similar to the concept art that I've done here, and then another sculpt there. So I'll be working on those over the next few months. Hobgoblin Firestarter. In an exceedingly volcanic landscape like the Blasted Wastes, it's not surprising that some of its denizens have a particular fascination with fire. Some hobgoblins are so consumed by their passion that they dedicate their lives to starting fires, spreading fires, and watching in rapture as it consumes everything around them. These highly dangerous individuals often find themselves enthralled by Dark Lords, who, as beings of magical flame, they worship as gods. Fueling the fires of the Dark Lord's rampant egos, fire starters are kept as pets and thrown into battle to cause chaos. So this is basically going to be like a hobgoblin who's just absolutely bonkers, covered in flame, running hell-bent towards the enemy. For those of you who've been around for a few years, like this is a character from 1st edition that I am rebirthing into 2nd edition. So you'll be able, there'll be 1 sculpt for him, but if you do want to use the old model, it'll be absolutely fine. Hobgoblins. Within the Blasted Wastes dwell the Hobgoblins, gangly and malnourished relatives of the orcs, gremlins, and boglins of Upper ArcWorlde. They live a roaming, hungry existence, picking a meagre living from the blackened landscape and the spoils they claim from raids against other hobgoblin clans. These sickly creatures are often enslaved by Dark Lords, who use them as disposable, if not particularly reliable, minions. A hobgoblin's aptitude for petty cruelty make them perfect henchmen for the Dark Lords, who muster whole hordes of them for their raids against other Dark Lords and expeditions into other ArcWorlde. So as you can see here, I'll be doing 3 brand new sculpts for the hobgoblins. I'll probably be doing a poll at some point over the next few days, so you folks can vote on what particular equipment loadouts you'd want these guys to be. They can be equipped with all of the things from the common armory, so have a read of those rules and see which ones you'd like to see for your collection. And we have the Dark Lords dice set. I've gone with a black pearl colour and a silver engraving to kind of represent their armour, and these have come out really nice. I'm really happy with those. And as with the wizards, all of those are included in the faction set. So if you do back the faction set pledge or the double faction pledge, you could get all of those models that I've just been talking about. And then there's the rules. Right, let's go back. So Gavidra, there are 2 Give Me Everything options here, and the resin one is more expensive, but it said it's all in resin in my pledge. That could also be a bit of a mistype, but I can look into that. Let's see how the project is going on. Wow, 54 backers already and £4,432. That's incredible. Thank you so much, folks. Wow, that's a lot. Right, back to the campaign. So, as with my other ArcWorlde Kickstarters, you all know that I love my big monsters, and this one is no exception. The Tarrasque. Ancient creatures from a forgotten age, Tarrasques are truly gargantuan beasts that are rarely seen in ArcWorlde. Many sleep for hundreds of years, appearing as hills or rocky outcrops as nature... Oh, that's a misspelling. Outcrops as nature grows over them. The innate magical aura of a Tarrasque has led many mages over the centuries to unknowingly build their towers upon their backs, with no idea at all that the power they glean is from the living being they dwell upon. On rare occasions, a Tarrasque awakens from their slumber and wanders the wildernesses of ArcWorlde. There is a rumour of one currently crashing its way through the Mildark forest, and many are clamouring to claim its power for themselves. So this is a absolutely ginormous model. Now I'll be showing it off to you folks on Wednesday, which will be my traditional sculpting stream, because he is traditionally sculpted, but he is the biggest model I've ever sculpted for ArcWorlde. He's absolutely ginormous, and I will be writing a what are they called? A scenario for him where it's kind of like a King of the Hill situation, but it's for the Tower of the Tarrasque. Because if you look here, you can actually place models upon the tower, and there's enough space on there for up to a 50mm base. So you can even put a Dark Lord on top of there. Pretty much all the models that aren't monsters can go on top, so it's almost a terrain piece. He's that big. Now, on to the stretch goals. Now, some of you who have been back to my previous Kickstarters may notice that things are a little bit different to how we've done them before. So all of the models are available from the off. So they are either part of your pledge, or you can add them to your pledge. The no buyable models will be unlocked over the course of the campaign. However, there will be free models that will be unlocked depending on how well the campaign does. If you are starter set or faction set, you will choose one model per stretch goal, and if you have double starter, double faction, or the Give Me Everything pledge, you'll get both models in each stretch goal, and all of these will be cast in white metal. So if we hit £5,000 for the total, each of you will get the either the sprite, a new sprite for the wizards, or a new underling for the Dark Lords, or if you get both, you get both. If we hit £7,000, you'll get another sprite and another underling. If we hit £10,000, we'll get another sprite and another underling. And if we hit £13,000, we'll get another sprite and another underling. If we hit £16,000, I'll sculpt an additional Hobgoblin and Apprentice model, and those will be given to you for free. If we hit £20,000, there'll be another one, and if we hit £25,000, I will sculpt a brand new sword for hire that will be included in everyone's pledge. So, miniatures for existing factions. It's a tradition for ArcWorlde Kickstarters to release new miniatures for the existing factions of the game: Halflings, Imperials, Wild Elves, Orcs, Beastfolk, and Undead Raiders. Each of these packs are the same price and are a great new addition to your existing ArcWorlde warbands. Now, I know a lot of you folks have been very, very excited for the opportunity to get more Halfling models, and here are the 3 that I have designed for this campaign. So we have a new model for the Monster Hunter, so there is already a model for a Monster Hunter, but in case you wanted to field 2 of them, there'll be a new one. Now, the Monster Hunter has like a lasso ability, so I decided to design him with a lasso. We have a Halfling with a packed lunch. So in the Halfling rules, a packed lunch is essentially like a healing potion that allows you to heal a character that holds it. So I thought I would sculpt a model that was in the process of consuming his packed lunch. And Mabel the Militia, just another militia, Halfling militia with a sword and shield. The Imperials will have 2 brand new models. We'll have a Standard Bearer and a Sergeant. Now, both of these characters are essentially upgrades of the basic troopers in the rules. If you check the rules, they are essentially given pieces of equipment that give them additional abilities and benefits. So I thought I would sculpt 2 models to represent that. It would give them a bit more character to make them look different from the regular troops. I've gone for like a big kind of bellied, mustached sergeant and kind of a more bedraggled looking trooper holding the griffin of the Empire. So with the Wild Elves, we have a Spear Warrior and a Shield Wood Fiend. Now, the Spear Warrior is pretty explanatory what he is. He's just another model to represent a warrior with a spear. Now, I wanted to kind of make it so that you could have it as either a spear or a ranged weapon or even a Fey Blade, if you check the rules to find out what a Fey Blade does. And the Shield Wood Fiend is a new creation that was added to the Wild Elves rules in the most recent rules update in May 2022, and it is a type of Wood Fiend that essentially protects your elves. It can be summoned as like an emergency shield to protect the elves. So check out the new rules to see how that works. So for the orcs, which are the newest of the older factions, I've sculpted, I will be sculpting, should I say, a Swamp Critter pack. So 5 of these guys. These are very, very good in the game, and I've also included a mounted Boglin on a Swamp Critter. So if you did want to represent a mounted Boglin in the game, he can either be used as a Swamp Critter or he could be used as a mounted Boglin. And if you guys really enjoy them, I'd be more than happy to make some more. For the beast folk, I've got a tortoise clan beast with a great weapon, or it could be a spear, and a woodpecker verman armed with a sword and shield. Now I'm continuing to go with the Scottish theme for the beast folk. So obviously they've got kilts and hats and sporrans and stuff like that. And I just wanted to explore some different animal types, because one of the things about the beast folk faction is that you can essentially give them animal forms, which are like pieces of equipment that can't be removed because it's literally just who they are, what kind of animal they take the form of. So there are lots there that you could use to represent these 2 folks. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to doing these. And then the Undead Raiders are just 3 characters who I just kind of came up with. The Blackened Knight, who will be represented as an executioner, and I'm sure all of you will get the reference of who this character was inspired by. And then Big Neep and Tatty, who are just 2 guys that I just came up with and I think will be really fun to sculpt. And these can represent undead bandits. I mean, I guess Big Neep could also be an executioner because he's going to be quite a big model, but it's entirely up to you. That's one of the great things about ArcWorlde, is that not everything is set in stone. You can think outside the box and use your imagination a little bit. The team behind Warp Miniatures. So there's me and my dad. Based in Nottingham in East Yorkshire, both in the UK, Warp Miniatures is a family business comprised of Alex Huntley and his parents, Rob and Dawn. Alex, that's me, is a sculptor and artist specialising in fantasy tabletop miniatures. He has been working in the industry for almost 10 years, since launching the first ever ArcWorlde Kickstarter whilst at university in 2013. He designs and sculpts all of the models for Warp Miniatures, as well as creating the rules for ArcWorlde. As well as working for the Royal Air Force, Rob is Warp Miniatures Master Resin Caster. Each resin model we make is lovingly hand cast by him to the highest of quality standards. Now, I'm sure, as our existing customers know, that is very, very high. Dawn oversees the packing of all of the miniatures we make and their shipment to our customers around the world. Those who have received one of our parcels will be well aware of her thoroughness, and the models you buy from us are in safe hands before they ship to you. Now, I know some of you may be thinking, well, where is she on the picture? But Mum is famously difficult about, not difficult, she gets very, very shy about photographs of herself. So I thought it would make her much happier if I were to not include it. And also, it's quite a nice picture of me and Dad. Now let's see how we are cracking on. Oof, 5,271 pounds. Woof. So we have already unlocked the first stretch goal, which is the sprite and the underling. So in each of your pledges, if you are starter set or faction set pledge, you get one choice, and I guess you will choose the one for the faction that you choose, whether it's the Wizards or the Dark Lords. And if you get both, you get both. Right, let's check the chat. Gavidra, it's an awesome beast. I'm very much looking forward to getting that one. Mal Edge, hey gang, awesome that it's fully funded. I'm sorry I couldn't make the event weekend. Sorry I can't make the full stream, but super happy to be the first backer. Oh wow, congratulations, Mal. Gavidra, love the elf with the spear. Donald Kelly, will the stretchable selection on the starter be tied to the faction, or could a wizard pick some of the underling stretch goals? Absolutely. Like, the way that the pledge manager will be run will be essentially, it will give you one choice per one. So even if you choose the wizards, you can get some underlings as well. So don't worry, it's not locked. Dagfin, hoot hoot, I'm late to the party and we're funded already. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you enjoyed the mountain. Ah, Dagfin. Ah, Gavidra said, ah, it's Ed. Ah, good to see you, bud. Haha, Rob Huntley. Wow, I think I'm going to be busy. Jonas, I like how the eye sprite looks sort of like some of those weird angels from Revelations and stuff. Well, that's kind of the direction I wanted to go. As I said earlier in the stream, I was inspired by those kind of doodles that medieval monks would do in their kind of manuscripts and things like that. So I did take a lot of inspiration from that. And, you know, if we end up unlocking even more of the stretch goals, I will be more than happy to do some more. Oof, how's it been 40? Has it taken me 40 minutes to go through the whole Kickstarter? Bloomin' heck. So, does anybody have any questions for me about the campaign? Oh, I think the music might have gone off as well, actually. There we go. Enhorabuena desde España. like, I'm sure I'm going to absolutely mangle this translation, but does that mean like a good hour from, like, kind of like a well done from Spain? Let me check. Ah, congratulations from Spain. Yeah, I was right. Donna Kelly, thanks for the clarification. Oak and Bronze assume the way to add funds for the existing faction models to pledges through the optional support bit in Manage Pledge. Yes, that is correct. Normally I would have a little, a bit, like a kind of a graphic to explain how to add those on. If you think that would be a good idea for me to do so, I will sort that out possibly at some point tomorrow. But I've been absolutely chock-a-block for the past few days. Oh. So out of everything that you've seen, let's say the new factions, not new factions, the new miniatures, like the concept art and things like that. Which one are you most looking forward to seeing? Because obviously tomorrow, I think it's tomorrow, which is the live sculpting, the digital sculpting. So which of those concepts would you guys in the chat like to see me make tomorrow? I mean, part of me is thinking that I should do the sprites and the underlings, the stretch goals, because obviously, you know, those are the models that you guys will be getting, and I think they're kind of characterful enough that it should be quite interesting for you to watch. Because I guess one of the things that I will be doing, I don't guess, but I know one of the things that I will be doing is talking through a little bit more of the technical side about how to use ZBrush on the stream. Just to give people who are learning a few pointers on how to make miniatures. Not that I'm a super expert. I've only really been sculpting digitally for just over 2 years now, but I guess I've got, you know, over a decade, more than a decade of experience sculpting by hand. It was just learning the software rather than learning to sculpt. But yeah, what would you like to see me make tomorrow night? Let's check the comments. Carl Packham backed, good man. Scott M, best of luck with the new campaign, Alex. Thank you very much, bud. Andrew Morris, another fantastic Kickstarter, by far my fave game out there. Completely unique. Well done, Warp Minis. Thank you so much. So I think I will be logging off at 9 o'clock. So if you do have any questions, now is the time to ping them over. If you miss out or if you don't fancy letting me know, then if you come and join us on some of the other streams that we've got running, hang on, let me just get up the schedule. There we go. So here are the upcoming streams. So Monday, that's tomorrow night, got the digital sculpting stream. Tuesday, ArcWorlde game night. Wednesday, the traditional sculpting stream. And Thursday, the Kickstarter closing party. So the Thursday will probably be quite similar to tonight. Either that, or I'm very much open to suggestions on how you folks would like to spend it. Like, I could do some more sculpting. We could have more of like a face-to-face chat, because I know I've been hiding behind the camera a little bit. That's one of the difficult things of having to like look at miniatures, is that you have to have it in a very specific place and you can't move it. But if you guys would more prefer to have a traditional, face-to-face chat where I'm kind of speaking into the camera more, then we can do that. I am absolutely open to ideas. Ed saying, I'm particularly keen to see the wild elf with the spear. I've asked for one before when you've put the question forward about new minis, so I'm well happy to see one being made. I'm very happy to hear that. And Jonas is saying, yeah, do the wild elf. Now, I'm particularly looking forward to doing that guy. I love wild elves, are one of my favourite factions, so I would be more than happy to do that. Possibly a wild elf sculpting night, so I could do the shield wood fiend first, perhaps, and then start with him, or not start with, carry on with him. So I hope you folks have had a great time tonight. I know a few of you have been quite busy with Father's Day and stuff, so I do really appreciate you taking the time to check in. Hope it was worth the wait, and I hope some of the reveals for the miniatures for the campaign have been super exciting. I can't wait to get cracking with sculpting those. I'll probably be working on a lot of the sculpts over the next few days, so hopefully I'll be able to reveal a few more of them before end of play on Thursday. But I'm really quite interested to see. So far obviously it's going incredibly, and thank you all so much for joining so quickly. I am really looking forward to seeing generally how the campaign does, as it is a much more of a shorter, more fast-paced campaign rather than the 2-week or 3-week or 4-week ones that I've done in the past. But if there is any other questions that you'd like to ask, then by all means feel free to ping on over a question either on one of the live streams or on Facebook or Instagram or Discord or Twitter. I'm even on Twitter now. I've been trying to do Twitter kind of semi-regularly, and I'll be very much posting everything on there when I go off. I think I have a lot of spam posting to do now over the coming few hours, I think, with my celebratory G&T. Just checking the Facebook group. My dad posted, funded in 4 minutes. Carl Packham, I'm backed. Second, there's no F5, only mobile app. Oh, I'm sorry about that, buddy. Ian Foster nearly flipping missed an early bird with walking the dog. Close shave indeed. Henry Collier, haven't even versed in my face. Haven't even painted my first Dark Lord. And Mark Bonatti, I love the undead extras. Thank you, please. Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to sculpting those guys, particularly Big Neep and Tatty. I think one of the great things about the undead faction is that it is so vague that I can just chuck anything in there, and it can be quite weird and wacky and almost what's his name? Tim Burton-esque. So I'm hoping to have lots of more weird and wonderful ideas over the next few, over the life of the faction, which will be forever, because they're already undead. So I actually did a poll on the ArcWorlde group saying, which faction are you most looking forward to seeing, who's on Team Wizards and who's on Team Dark Lords, and pretty much it's a 50-50 split. So we have a 49% for the Wizards and 50% for the Dark Lords. I'm not sure where that extra 1% has gone, but I think maybe quite a few people would have liked to have voted for both, which is always nice. Ooh. Ed says, my only request for future campaigns is for them to end on payday rather than just before. Healer's Faust upgraded my pledge directly because my girlfriend fell in love with the Wizards. That's great to hear. She wants the walking bookshelf. Well, hopefully I should have a sculpt for her to look at over the next few days so she can see it. Not in the flesh yet, because I'll have to get it printed, but it'll be in the digital realm, so at least you can get a good look at the model before the end of the campaign. We're on 79 backers already, bloomin' heck. Martin, don't miss my window for an early bird target. The minis look awesome. Hope there's not too much new hotness. I already went over budget and I'll have to make hard choices again. Well done, thank you very much, Martin. So yes, as I said before, I'll be putting a poll up on the ArcWorlde group. For those of you who aren't part of it already, there is a link on the campaign page on what you folks would like me to sculpt on tomorrow's stream. At the moment, the top choice, and that is by a choice of 2 in the chat, is the Wild Elf Spear Warrior, which I think is a great choice. I think it'd be a really fun model to make. But I'll do a proper shout out in the comments and we can see which one is the most popular. But we're coming, it's almost 9 o'clock. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank you all so much for hanging out with me tonight. It's been really, really fun, like kind of showing you all what I've been working on feverishly over the past few months. There's so much more stuff to come, so much more content. So there's 4 more live streams over the next few days. I'll be working on making the models, and hopefully there will be lots more miniatures to show off by the end of the campaign. Thank you all so much for joining me tonight. I'm already overwhelmed with how well the campaign has gone. I can't believe we are almost at £6,000 already, and it's not even been the first hour. That's incredible. And fingers crossed it continues to do well for the next few days. If you know anybody who might like my miniatures or would like to get into a game, or is a painter, would like something new and interesting to paint, please, I would really appreciate if you pointed them to the campaign. The more backers we get, the more models that everybody gets. So I want to reward all of you for doing the fantastic work that you do for me by posting it on your social media and telling your friends, and I appreciate that so much. But thank you again for all of you who joined. I'll be seeing you all tomorrow night at 7 o'clock again for the live sculpting workshop. If you do have any questions to ask, have a think about them and put them to me tomorrow night. But in the meantime, nighty night. Thank you all so much again, and hope you enjoy the rest of the campaign. Goodbye!